Well, folks, it's almost time to end this particular chapter
and move on. So let me fill you in on other medical stuff. I saw the cardiologist about 5 months after my heart attack. Amanda, who I've mentioned before, who works in the local yarn shop, came with me, partly to hold my hand, but partly to have somebody there that could ask questions which I didn't know I needed to ask. And she also took notes, which is great. At that point, they were still saying they weren't sure if it had been a heart attack, but would need an MRI scan in order to get that checked. So I was sent for an MRI scan. I am sat here in a changing room at the hospital, waiting to go in for a cardiac MRI. It was all very last minute, but I don't like MRIs. I don't like the machines. I've got some eye masks, which hasn't got metal in, thank God, and I'm dreading it. Really not looking forward to this at all. But the scan will show me if there's been any damage done to the heart muscles. So it's important to get it done, but I still don't like it. I am terrible with MRI scans. I suffer from really bad claustrophobia, and the thought of going in a tube in the past has filled me with absolute horror. So I'm going to give you a couple of little tips if you too suffer. Number 1, take an eye mask. This is one of mine that's got metal on it, which you don't want, but the hospital do have them available without metal. So put an eye mask on so that you don't see yourself going in. The other thing that helped to divert my senses was smell. They do tell you not to have coffee for 24 hours leading up to the scan, which is me without coffee, not good. So I decided to smell the coffee instead. Literally, I filled a little bag up with coffee beans and rubbed my hands, and so then I could smell the beans. So in that confined space, I had the aroma, but without the internal fix of the coffee hit. And that worked. Suddenly the MRI scan was over and it was great. So this is how I felt after the scan. Well, that wasn't so bad. Wearing an eye mask was definitely the best way to go, because I couldn't see myself going in the machine. I couldn't see the machine, and my claustrophobia was okay. Yeah, I just feel a bit spaced out now from being in the dark for so long. But all good. I have to wait for the results, which will be a while because there's only 2 doctors that go through the scans. But no, I'm okay. I'm okay. The outcome of it did confirm that I had a heart attack, and that they would see me within a few months. At the hospital appointment, they'd said they'd see me in 6 months, but the letter was a bit more vague than that and just said some point next year. I did have to chase the hospital to get that appointment, which wasn't good. You shouldn't have to really chase hospitals for appointments. But I went to the hospital again with Amanda, and they were happy to discharge me, which felt great. Felt really good to know that everything I'd been working on and doing had been the right thing. So there were lots of happy tears that day, but that had been a year since the previous appointment. So let's have a bit of a review. I finally got my cardiac rehab, where they tested my level of fitness by doing exercises up and down a room, and I was really pleased with the outcome of that. They sent me home with a series of exercises which I continued to do, but it was just adding to what I was already doing to get my heart racing on a daily basis. And after a couple of months they discharged me from that. They didn't need to see me again, but were happy with how I was doing. But again, it isn't any thanks to what I should have had under the NHS. So what was I able to do that I couldn't after the heart attack when I left hospital? I was able to climb the stairs, no problem. I've said the stairs are steep, but I can actually just walk upstairs like a normal person now. That sounds really silly. I can sit on the floor and stand up. I can walk a lot more. I can bend my feet without them being in pain. My feet aren't swollen. It's the little things that you take for granted that you suddenly realise have gone. Benchmarks for me have been the ability to walk. Sometimes when I go for a walk I have to count so many steps and then stop. I don't tend to stop anymore. I do the counting because it says, right, I'm going to walk to that point, but then I don't stop. I carry on and carry on, which is great, which is how it should be. My heart rate continues to go well. I don't have any chest pains. I don't have any issues there. So what would I've covered in a full cardiac rehab? Well, exercise, check, that's all going well. Information and education sessions. I found myself Googling a lot and contacting the British Heart Foundation with questions, and they became my new best friends for source of information. Peer support. No, I didn't have that, and I think that would have been useful. I did reach out locally to groups, but didn't get anything back. I joined a couple of Facebook groups, which had varying degree of success. Not the ones in this country, in the UK, I'm going to say, but there was one in America that was trying to tell people that they'd only had a heart attack because of the COVID vaccine, which to me is absolute balderdash. Heart attacks were around long before COVID and will continue to be around long after COVID. So to say things like that is wrong, and I tried not to engage with those comments, but they are around. Emotional support and well-being, that was the tough one. I didn't want to bore people, I didn't want to bother people, so I didn't have the emotional support. Initially when I was in hospital, yes, because I was able to phone my friend every day, but I stopped doing that. As I said, I was getting a bit boring. It seemed to be my one topic of conversation. So I did a CBT course last year that had a certain degree of success, but it didn't really give me anything new. There wasn't any bazinga moments for me. I do still feel negative at times with anxiety. Despite the discharge, there is still a fear. If I get palpitations, but I take my spray. I haven't had to take it much, but I don't suppose that anxiety is ever going to go away, but it's not going to stop me from living either. Otherwise I would just stay in this house and wither away, and I don't want to do that. I want to live. I am living. I am alive. So no, it's not going to stop you from crossing the road. It's not going to stop you from doing anything.
In the UK, 1 in 4,200 women per year are hit by a vehicle non-fatally. By comparison, 1 in 1,000 women per year have a non-fatal heart attack.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death amongst women in the UK. Each year, more than 30,000 women are admitted to hospitals due to heart attacks. That information comes from the Heart Research Institute UK. While specific annual mortality figures for women from heart attacks are not readily available, it's important to note that coronary heart disease claims more than twice as many women's lives as breast cancer annually in the UK, courtesy of the British Heart Foundation. Research indicates that over a 10-year period, more than 8,200 women's deaths in England and Wales could have been prevented with care equal to that received by men. Again, thank you British Heart Foundation for that information. This highlights the critical need for increased awareness, timely diagnosis, and equitable treatment of heart disease in women. I said at the start of doing these films that heart attacks seemed to be a male disease and a male illness, when the truth is it's not. Women tend to ignore the symptoms, so I'm going to put up this little slide that tells you what the symptoms are, and I want you to take it in. I want you to share it with as many people as you can. If you take nothing from this film or my series of films, just take that, please, because if you can save somebody else's life by sharing this information, then these little films that I've been doing have not been in vain. I was lucky that I was with a friend that day, and now I need to get my life back on track. If my heart attack was a gift, and I do see it as a gift, then it gave me the time to reconnect with the parts of me that I'd abandoned due to actually surviving. I worked myself to the ground. I went from job to job, never enjoying the fruits of my labour, never having any proper holidays, never doing anything. I turned myself into a workhorse to survive. The time since the heart attack hasn't been easy, but I have embraced the time and used it wisely to become a better version of myself. At least I hope I am. So, dear viewer, that was my heart attack journey. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you.
I hope you have found this useful. And remember, don't ignore the pains. Get them checked out and dial 999. They would rather you do that than be another death statistic. Heart attacks don't care who you are, or what you do, or how you've lived your life. So please, don't ignore the signs. Thank you. If you like what I'm doing, then it would be great if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share with anyone you think may find this interesting. Also, if you ring the bell, you'll get notifications when I upload my next video.